All right, we're going to continue with our last topic in lesson 1, and this is called reading and writing whole numbers. Now we've talked about this the whole number place value chart, which I have shown below, and then there's an example of a number with it. And if you remember, the first number to the left, or the first value to the left, is the ones, the tens, the hundreds, comma, and then so on. Now another way to label this also, or another way we could refer to this starting to the left of the decimal point, that set of first three values, we could call those the ones values. Okay, we could kind of categorize that group of 3 as the ones. The next set of 3, which would be these 3 right here, we could categorize them as what? The thousands. And then we can be more specific and say 1,000s, 10,000s, 100,000s. Now how about the next set of 3? And I don't have all these shown on this chart, but what would this next set of 3, what would be a general term we could use to categorize that set of 3? Well, it goes 1 millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, so we could say those are the millions, right? And then we'd have our comma, and then our next set of 3 would be the what? It would go millions, then billions. And I don't have enough room here to show the last set of 3 that or the furthest left set of 3 that we've already talked about, which would be the what? The trillions. So really these terms right here are just a general way of talking about or communicating a set of 3. So we've already talked about the specifics of this place value chart. These are just more general terms. Now we're going to use this as we get into reading and writing whole numbers. Now in example 1, it says use words to write that number. So notice this number is just a bunch of digits. It doesn't have any commas, it doesn't have a decimal point in it or anything else. So let's start by placing the decimal point in a whole number. It's always to the far right. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the far right, and I'm going to count every 3. So I've got the 2, the 4, the 6, and then I'm going to put a comma. Then I've got a 3, the 2, the 7, then I'm going to put a comma. Now, I want to write this number in words. So the key thing is I got to identify using this chart and those general terms that I have highlighted in yellow, how I would say this number, and then we'll write it in words. So now remember, this first set of 3 is the ones, and then we have the thousands, and then the millions. All right? So I would start by saying, all right, I have 51 million, because it's in the millions, it's in that millions category. So I have 51 million. And then we put our comma, just like it is here. And then I have 723,000, because it's in the thousand category, comma. So I have 51,723,642. And notice that with numbers, when I have numbers in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, or anything in the 20s through 100, we have the hyphen in between it to abbreviate. So like 23, I have the hyphen between there, the 42. But once we get into the hundreds here, we don't need to use that. So again, we have 51,723,642. And that's how I'd write this in words, using the place value chart we had on the previous screen. Now let's go the other way. In example 2, it says use digits. Now we have it in words, and we want to write it as the actual number. To write the number 51 billion. Now the first thing I'm going to do is identify my main category. So I have the billions, I have some thousands, and then really right here they're talking about the the ones or the units. So again, I'm using those terms that I had back on this place value chart. So let's write this, so the billions. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my dashes in through the billions. So here's my ones category, my thousands category, my millions category, and finally my billions. Now what do I have here? I have 51 billion. It's not in the hundreds, so I'm not going to use this place right here. So I can get rid of that. So I have 51 billion. Now does it say I have any trillions in there? No. But I got to fill that space up though. Alright? So I have the trillions, but there really aren't any, but I have placeholders there. And then we have how many thousands? 27,000. There's not any hundreds, so I don't have anything there, but I need that placeholder. And then finally 500, and I do have some hundreds here, 520. And that's how I would write this number. So I've written the number 51,027,520. And really this is just a basic or basic lesson or review then of reading and writing whole numbers.